Alrighty, guys. So we have Sammy here, and we've got an interview in store for you guys. So we're gonna get into it right away. And Sammy, actually, go ahead and explain what you do, your background. Just give us a
Yeah.
quick little, information about you and just in general, like you were a real estate agent before, correct? So let's start off with there.
Yeah. So basically, so let's just go all the way back. I've been in real estate now 3 years. So around the pandemic is where I started. Like the first year of pandemic is when I decided to leave behind my career and start into real estate. Before that, I worked for a tech company and I was a senior manager. Okay. So I worked with a bunch of employees. I think at one point I had about 120 people indirectly reporting to me and about 10 managers directly reporting to me. So that's where I sort of learned the fundamentals of business, right? So it taught me about, what's a P&L, what's overhead, how to budget and how to manage employees, how to control retention, profit and loss and hiring and all that kind of stuff. So it gave me like a really good base. And then, what I realized when I was working for that company is working for a company is just always going to be working for a company. And there's like, what, five, maybe max 10% if you're super lucky of bump that you might get on an annual basis. And, if you hit your KPIs and stuff, sure, you might get a bonus, which is like a percent or two of the entire bottom line of the business. So when you look at those numbers, you're like, man, like I think I can do this myself, right? And so I went on sort of like an exploration journey for myself, and I was like, okay, I can have something for myself where I don't have to split the profits and I don't have to work a 9 to 5 and be chained to like a desk or a physical location. And even though at that time the company was moving into remote, it's just I couldn't put my own name on it. And at that time, I had already invested into a couple of properties. And so, when it comes to entrepreneurship, as you know, probably you've done this long enough, is you have to provide a solution to a problem, right? And every single experience that I had with a realtor was subpar at best. I've never, as a consumer, I didn't have a bad experience, but I didn't have a great experience either. So that's where I inserted myself. I'm like, okay, well, I think I can do good here. And what happened is I actually started in real estate with a team. Okay, so not joining a team, but I actually started a team, which was something that a lot of people just couldn't wrap their head around. But for me, it made perfect sense because that's what I was used to. I wanted to continue being a leader because I was a leader in my past position, and I wanted to have an impact, right? And I think that's similar to what I share with you. Is you talk a lot about, okay, well, how can you impact people? Because at a certain point, it stops being about the money and it starts being about the impact. And so I figured, hey, listen, I've got a good friend of mine. He's been in real estate 6, 7 years. I think we can combine forces, and I can sort of help him from more of a logistics and scaling sort of background that I have, and he can help me with his real estate experience relevant to the market, and that's exactly what we did. So we started together. We started with being partners at first, and then we ended up hiring like I think 7 agents within the first 6 months of that team. We crushed it in terms of targets, and then from there, his sort of interests changed a little bit. So he went in his own direction, and I obviously was loving real estate and everything it had done for me. So at that point, I started my own team, Ahmed and Associates. Right now, we're I believe gone up to about 9 or 10 agents. We operate solely based out of British Columbia. Plan is to expand into Ontario and then Calgary, and eventually all of Canada at one point in time. And so that's what I've been doing, and that's really where I saw you, and you gave me this incredible opportunity, which I was thinking about, and I was like, the stars aligned at the right time because I looked at myself. I'm like, okay, well, I'm giving immense amount of value to my team, and I'm helping them crush their targets, and I'm able to generate results for them, and so I could probably monetize this, and I can start charging people money. But again, like for me, I was like, how do I even do that? Because I don't have enough relevant experience in the industry. Again, limiting beliefs, right? And this is my
Mhm.
drunk monkey talking in the background where I'm like, dude, like I can't do this. There's no way that anyone's gonna pay me money to teach them. Like, and lo and behold, I'm sitting here now, 30-year real estate, and I have guys like David, my most recent client, that's been in the industry for 17 years. And he's loving everything that I've showed him so far, right? So I think it was a perspective shift more than anything that you provided, which I was like, I remember from our first call, I was like, dude, like I need to work with Prab. So that's sort of the high level story.
Yeah, it's really good you mentioned that because like you mentioned you get into real estate right with the team and like the whole point of leverage, right? Because in the end of the day, like it's entrepreneurship rule, right? But like the more impact you have, that's like how much you get paid. Like even in this case, right? Like you have your own skill sets, which the skill sets actually a lot of them are also developed outside of real estate in the tech company, which is a very fast growing industry. But like you apply the skill sets in one vehicle, which is real estate, did really well. And then you also now apply that as well into your coaching consulting venture, and they're translatable, right? So every single thing you're doing now, it's just like you're applying the same skill sets, but in certain things you're able to have even more impact. So the way I look at it is like, for example, with a local real estate team, right? You're sort of it's great and it's awesome, and you're having a really good impact in the local community, right? But like now with the online, you're able to amplify that impact, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's why like you're able to change more lives, and that's like the ultimate goal, right, of the entrepreneur. So I know that you came on board for the Renegade program, and I know also as well like you're also the expert about the secrets. I know
Mm-hmm.
they're all very similar in nature, but let's start off like by sharing any wins. I know you've been crushing it,
Yeah.
especially you're starting to build a sales team now. So like let's talk about wins. Like where you at right now in terms of what came through the program in general.
Okay. So first of all, yeah, I started with Renegade, and you know, a Renegade offer for you guys. It went out a while ago, but I didn't really implement anything till about October of this year because I was just super busy, summer, all that. So October, I sat down. I actually completed. I put up the video sales letter. I finished editing it, and yeah, I implemented the funnel, all of that kind of stuff. And I didn't see my first sale till mid October. So we finished October at about 6K. And then in October we did 2K. In November we did 6K, and December we finished with $30,000. So December just blew up, and the reason why it blew up because a little bit more ad spend, but also a proper system in place where we had an appointment setter in place, and now we're at a point where we have a salesperson that's joining the team. So, but if you add it up, it's about 38K that I've done in what 3 months.
Love
But
it.
December was the biggest one. Like 30K in December was just mind blowing. And when you get into because fundamentally the funnel is just a concept where you're showing people the value, you're getting in front of them, and you're showing them sort of the path towards the results that you can create for them. And once they see that with their own eyes, they're willing to pay, right? But the thing is that a lot of realtors like me, who had the perception of a coaching program was often about, okay, like I gotta go out there and coach people about how they're going to negotiate deals and this and that. I think fundamentally a lot of salespeople are in real estate because they know how to sell. It's about getting the business.
Yeah.
That's what they struggle with. And so a lot of realtors that think they want to start a coaching business are going to just directly compete with the Tom Ferries and the Brian Buffinis, right? And that's like if I was to open up a convenience store right by Walmart, right? Who do you think am I going to do well, right? Like I might get absorbed. So fundamentally, I think the shift with your guidance really helped me where I was like, okay, if they're going to pick me, you know, um, John Doe compared to a Tom Ferry, like what is my value proposition, and can I like really show them the results? And that's where it changed for me, because when I was able to show them what I've done, um, in a format which is very specific to what you teach, that our brain as a realtor, it only works in a sort of like a B2C fashion, right? So a lot of these concepts that you taught me in the B2B world, in the online world, were completely foreign. Now if I didn't implement these particular strategies that you teach us, I wouldn't have been able to convert, despite how well I was able to deliver results for the clients that are signing up. Because there was no structure that I had in mind, it will be like aiming blindlessly, right? And that's, I think, the biggest value add of you for people like me is actually providing that structure.
Yeah, I think you touched on a lot of good points there. Like, because you learn a lot of skill sets, right? Like you learned about the writing the sales letter, right? And like the sales letter is the number one piece of the whole business. And like you learned about new mechanisms, which is like in saturated marketplaces in business, you need to come up with something that's new, the market hasn't heard about before. So a lot of these things, you basically, the most exciting thing is like you took something from your mind, and like the next sales letter, right? You might write one this year, an example. You might write a sales letter this year for a different offer. Who knows, right? Like this, because you have the skill set now as a marketer. That's like the real thing. You're a marketer at first, right? You're applying your skill sets in business. You took an idea from your mind, you wrote out a slide deck, you recorded it, you put some Facebook ads behind it, and it starts printing money. So that's the most exciting part. Because I think in this online space, yeah, you can earn a lot of money. You can earn like hundreds of thousands or millions a year. But the real skill set, the thing that really gives you joy at the end of the day is like you have in your brain the ability to, basically take ideas and turn them into cash. And like the more to do it, you're more confident, you train that muscle. Like for me, that's probably my biggest accomplishment, right? Taking that idea, turning it to scratch. Like a lot of our programs, REMT launch, Renegade, these are just ideas and concepts I thought about, or a sales letter, put some ad spend behind it. Now it's printing cash, right? So it's really exciting you said that. And that's really good results. I think you're one of the fastest growing like clients, because in like 3 months, 30K a month, I think you're going to be hitting 100K a month soon with the sales team. So
Yeah.
I can see that happening. Now, I have a couple more questions. Like, what's like for, I know we have like a lot of different type of support resources, like with the Slack channel, we got like the coaching calls, we got some one-on-one calls as well. Like what do you find like helped you out the most? Like what parts of like the whole program in general would you say that like you really relied upon?
Well, I think first of all, if you're gonna do this for anyone else, man, like there needs to be that social proof that you talk about, right? Like you can't bullshit people. Like you have to have results if you're gonna do something like this, right? And there's ways to be able to develop those results, obviously. And I know you teach that for a lot of the REMC folks. But one of the things that made me comfortable in picking you was, you showed me in the beginning, like your ad account, hundreds of thousands of dollars spent, right? Like you're sitting at an address that right now that I'm aware of, right? I'm not going to say it on the call, but you disclose that information, like you're a legitimate business. And for me, like I need to trust people that I'm investing my money into. So that was number one. And that also showed me, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, I need to be transparent with the folks that are paying for my services. Now, in terms of support, the biggest value that I see is the group calls. You guys do 3 group calls on a weekly basis, and in that, oftentimes the stuff that you're talking about is actually pretty in line with the content that's already posted in our training portals. But it's the feedback that you get from other people and their challenges, because everyone has a unique set of challenges, and when you see it from their perspective, okay, like this is what they're doing, and then they might actually share a win on top of that. And I know we talk about wins as part of our weekly calls. It gives you that perspective of, okay, like I haven't tried that out, maybe I need to go out there and do that. And I've done that countless times where someone just planted an idea in my mind, next thing I go and implement that as part of the program the second day, and you see immediate results almost, right? Because you're one mind and Jazz is another mind, but there's hundreds of minds as part of the program, and they're actively wanting to better their business. And so it becomes this like community, right?
Exactly.
And I'm often relying on these people. So I think for me, that's the most amount of value. Mind you, now with the Slack channel and the support email and the one-on-one Calendly link that I have for both you and Jazz, like I can get in touch with you immediately within 24 hours if I needed to. But again, the most amount of value is those group calls.
Yeah, I think the same thing also applies even for like it's like a network effect, right? Like even for I know Peter Thiel, he mentioned this in the book 0 to 1, but like there's a network effect established within coaching consulting businesses. So even for your business, right? Like the more agents you have in your community, that network, the community becomes more beneficial. So like agents can then use as a referral network. They can use that as like a mastermind network. Like that's what's happening within the community right now, right? Like you see the group chat, it goes up every single day, right? But yeah, it's really good to hear. Um, Now, what's like the goal this year? Like, what are you trying to hit in terms of revenue at the end of the year? Like, are you trying to hit 7 figures, multiple 7 figures? And what are you trying to do to achieve that goal? Like, is there build a sales team? What's like that goal?
Yeah, so I want to do at least 1.2 mil in gross, right? And the net of that I'll show you based on my current, I mean, obviously margins are going to go down as you scale up, but currently we're profiting about 70%. So that looks like,
Yeah, like at
yeah, so that's
scale.
about $800,000 in, you know, profit. If that,
Yeah,
I mean, it
yeah,
might be a little bit less than that because as there's multiple reps, the efficiencies break down a little bit. And right now I'm doing most of the closing, but I very, cause if I can have a 30K month in December where there's holidays and there's so many moving pieces, like we're already in a position where in January we're probably going to crush that and keep growing. And so there's it's multifaceted though, right? Because right now so far I've only really leveraged online ads, and so obviously I want to spend more money on ads, but it's not going to be the end of it all. It's I need to continue cultivating the organic side of things. I need to start scraping emails, and you essentially the stuff that you teach is like, I'm starting to become now somewhat of a consultancy, right? Like a large scale consultancy. And so it's going to be a full on business where we had this conversation a long time ago, and I couldn't even wrap my head around it. But now I'm at a point where, okay, I've got people that are going to be doing the sales calls. I've got people that are doing the appointment settings. I have the support staff. I hired a guy, overseas who is specifically running the onboarding. I have key players that are coming in on a weekly basis to do, I have a speech coach coming in, for example, on Friday, and she's going to teach agents how to properly, leverage speech to be able to convert people online. So I have all these things going on, and all I got to do is just manage from a high level. And then, you become at that point, one of the things that I wanted to focus on in 2023 is becoming completely mobile,
mhm.
right? So tomorrow, if I want to go to, Dubai, for example, my business is still running and I'm not required to be there. And second thing, I don't want to be trading my time for money anymore. That I want to just get rid of that belief system. And it's difficult to get rid of that belief system when your conventional means of making money have you sort of stuck in one place. And that's what, for me, real estate, like if I need to transact in real estate, knock on wood, I've got an incredible team of 9 agents that will do it on my behalf. And, we have split structures set in place accordingly. But for those that don't have that, I mean, this is a great avenue of, just being remote completely. Quality of life goes up substantially.
Yeah, I think you mentioned so many good points too. Like first and foremost, like one is like you actually practice what you preach, which in this piece is not really heard of, right? It's like you're an actual agent, you're a successful agent, you built a team, structure. Now you're actually teaching them. So fundamentally, what you are really in the business of is transferring skill sets, right? So the skill sets you transfer them to your agents, right? And then you transfer them to your employees, and then you are like the core figure that is transferring skill sets and also attaining skill sets. So your business at its purest form, when it's all outsourced, it's just getting more skill sets. And you can get like you've gained a lot of skill sets by being part of this program. Is the other, what I always do is like, for our agents, like our coaching side, like I'll always invest into real estate coaches, and I'll always like, see like, okay, what can I extract from this program, and I'll add into my own program, because like that's all it is, right? Like we're, that's product development, right? Sort of recon.
Yeah.
So that's the business you're in. But like, yeah, like you're in a phase right now where like you've created the flow, you've monetized the flow. Now the flow's coming in. Now it's about turning up the knob on the flow, doing more, and making sure like you're profitable along the way, which is, I mean, it's always going to be an act of, moving around things, ensuring everything's tight, lean. But yeah, like this is something that you can definitely, like you want to remove yourself as a real business. Like, so with our lead gen coaching side, which is like similar to like, what, like you're doing sort of marketing, sales coaching for agents, right? Like that's your specialty, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Inside sales, yeah. So I'm not even involved in that. Like we bring on like tons of agents every single month for that, and we're not even running ads right now. We're still bringing a lot of agents because our email list is so big. But I haven't looked into that. Like I check in like once a month with the same guy that's also the support person for EAS and REMC, which is Arjun, which you know of, right? So
Yeah.
like that's what you want to emulate, right? You want to stay super lean on the back end, and that's why you're going to be really profitable. Like you mentioned, like you're like 70% net. You can probably scale to like 1.2 at like 50% net, because ad costs go a little bit more expensive and you're gonna have sales team
Right.
and stuff. Efficiency drops, but if you keep the back end lean, like you're gonna be really good. And then yeah,
Oh
like
yeah, 50% net. I mean, that's 600K, man. Like that's Like
From
the goal
remote.
after that is going to be, in 2024, like, can we get up to $1 million net, right? Profit. So
But you're forgetting about your back end offer, right? Like you have it, like, so I think we're talking, like once you're 150K, 200K a month in the front end revenue, the back end offer comes in, that's all profit, right? So like then then you could easily do like 60, 70, 80% net if you have a back end profit, right? So
right.
whatever that back end is for you, it's a lot of different things. Especially it's like, real estate and you have a lot of options. But I think we talked about that in the past, but like that's the next option too, right? Like once you're about 150, 200K a month, which I think is going to happen in the next 4 to 6 months, as long as you keep scaling aggressively and you have a sales team, you're lean. The back end offers next, but this is some really good stuff. Like even some of the value we dropped just in the interview here. So just the last, 1 or 2 questions here. So first of all, like, how do you see, other people that are like sort of on the fence, particularly like, people like yourself, or even like, people that are like, so we have a lot of programs, right? We have like, EAS launch, Renegade program, REMC. What's your number one piece of advice for them? Like people that are sort of on the fence, right? Like what would you say to them before they come and work with us?
Yeah, so I'll go to, you've made a few videos on this guy on your Instagram. He's definitely the next big thing when it comes to the online world. CEO of acquisition.com, right? Alex, or I
Promote.
guess his wife is the CEO, but he's the founder. Like Alex Hormozy, I believe
Yeah.
his name is. And so one of the things that he said that really stuck to me and applies to your question directly is you can actually buy skills to make yourself a millionaire,
Yep.
right? Like you can spend like 10, 20K to learn how to make $1 million, and people just don't know that, right?
Yeah.
And
It's
and
hard to
and
believe.
there's yeah, that's the thing, because they don't believe, right? And that's where, dude, it's so difficult for me to even try to convince people. Like I could say that you are probably the best leader in this, like you are the leader in this niche. No one else is teaching other, consultancies or agencies or other realtors how to even implement these efficiencies. I can say that 100%, but the viewer who's looking at our video, first of all, I'm a living example. If anyone wants to email me, I'll share with you my Stripe account and the incoming money, so they can take a look at it themselves. But like I recognize at the point where I don't think I was ever on the fence, because I saw the social proof, and afterwards, the one thing that allowed me to pay for your program was the fact that I knew that I needed to buy the skill set to be able to earn that amount of money. And I didn't have that scarcity mindset about, oh my god, is it going to work, is it not going to work? Worst case scenario, I learned a new skill set. you know Best case scenario, I can potentially make millions of dollars out of this. And that's where it's now going, where 30K a month to 100K a month to consistently 100K months, and that's over $1 million a year. So fundamentally, my advice is recognize the fact that in order to go up to the next level, you need to invest in yourself. This is not You're not forking out money with no return. This is an investment in your future. So before you upgrade your car, or spend money on bottles or whatever it is that keeps you going, put that money aside. And going back to Alex Hormozy's example, he's like, dude, like if you're making 60K a year, figure out the amount of money that you need to
Just
save in order to
survive.
survive,
Yeah.
and the rest put it into education, because that's what's going to make you hundreds, if not millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's like he
So
says, invest in the S&P 500, right? It's
mhm,
like the skill sets is crazy. Like I went to university too, right? But like the return, like you spend so much money on university, and like it's like you're not even oftentimes aren't really guaranteed an income, right? Whereas like now with e-learning, you're in the e-learning space as well. I am. It's like the transfer of skill sets, because it's like a newer industry. It's like you can get skill sets for like a discount. Like even university, that's what you do, right? You get skill sets, apply them in the marketplace. E-learning is you're getting more niche specific skill sets, and you're playing in the marketplace. In turn, usually because they're more niche specific, you can earn more, right? So that's some really good stuff. I'm excited for your growth this year. I think you're gonna crush it. I was here wins the chat. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else that I wanted to cover. Unless do you have any piece of advice for anyone else out
Yeah,
there?
I would say, man, like if anyone's watching this video and they need a vote of confidence in picking the right person to really explode their profitability, even if you have like an agency or a consultancy, because one of the things that I'm learning is there's a lot of people that have done for you services, right? And they have this beautiful capacity to collect testimonials. Well, do you really want to continue working for people and trading your time for your money? Right? Like you have to get out of that. And so I think with your program like EAS, you know, the step up of the done with you hybrid or just a complete done with you that I'm doing right now. I'm not trading my time for money anymore. I'm not doing these services for these people. They're
Yep.
doing it themselves, but it's a proven formula, right? So if anyone's on the fence, just like this is an investment in your future, you guys, that you once you make it, like this 12 months could make you a millionaire because of Proud, because of Jazz, and because of Generate Agent Leads and Expert Advisors Secret. So if you're on the fence, that's my last piece. Like just pull the trigger is the best thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah, really appreciate that. I know, like, I'll actually add on one more point too. Is like, talked about the whole transfer of skill sets and everything, right? Like even you, right? So right now, you've got these skill sets, and like this is gonna be $1 million business for you, right? Like you can do so many things with the exact same skill sets. Like something that I'm doing with the same skill sets is I'm actually, this year I'm going out to like realtors. A lot of them reached out to me as well, but like I'm forwarding like sort of a portfolio of like real estate coaching companies, right? So like I'm applying my same skill sets in another vehicle once again, right? So like I have my one skill set of real estate marketing, apply for my actual real estate marketing consultancy, helping agents. Now I'm also teaching people, and I'm also teaching agents how to start coaching business. But at the same time now, I'm also doing like this like portfolio where I'm partnering up with a couple of real estate coaches, like,
Yeah.
or people that are soon to be real estate coaches, and like I'm gonna sort of do a done for you service for them because it's gonna work because I've already done it, right? And it's gonna be like a 50-50 split. And it's like
It's an excellent JV opportunity, man, because you have the skill set, right? And that's the other thing you
something you
nailed
can
it,
do too. Yeah.
right? Like we can actually the same formula is applicable to anything in the online space, man. So once you learn the skill set, you can go and do whatever you want. And that's the other thing, right? Like once whoever it is that selects your program, um, like you guys are gonna want to be with Prob and Jazz the entire time, because that's the other value that we didn't touch on is you're actively testing things out in the market, right? Like you're talking about right now testing the webinar
Yeah, the
for
fulfillment stuff for agents. Yeah, we're always updating that. Yeah.
right. So like the product is always developing. So I have this peace of mind that okay, like for indefinitely, I'm sticking with you, whatever that means on a yearly basis. I don't really care because it's guaranteed on my end that okay, there's someone out there that's doing the product research and the product development. So I'm able to put my best foot forward for my clients. Almost like an insurance policy if you think about it.
Yeah, it's also good too because like what we do is like we take a like of course we have a lot of people like staying with us, and like we take a lot of that chunk and we always put it back in the product and reinvest it. Like we always want to make sure that we're updating it, right? Because it also helps even our own agents too, right? And it helps everyone else. But yeah, I mean, I really like the whole portfolio example. I think we talked to one of our coaching calls, right? But like I'll add, I know what you're gonna run as well, but like something that like as an internet marketer, right? You always gonna plan like your 5-10 year plan. It's like you can have a portfolio of companies, and then you can exit them, right? Like if you have like, especially in your, like, so you built, for example, right, Sammy, you built the real estate coaching company, for example, you built it to 7 figures. Now you can also, you're talking about like, agent attraction. That's one angle, but another one is like you can partner up with agents, scale their coaching companies for them, and you have economies of scale as well, right? Because like you're using the same team for all 5 companies, and then you are like owning all the companies at the top. And come time, you're doing a couple $1 million a year net profit. Your company is very valuable. People are going to want to buy that, right? Like this five
Yeah.
companies you own, whatever it is. So it's like a portfolio, right? So that's like what my long-term vision is. I think we just had a sort of turn the consulting call, but I think people that listen
Yeah.
now can really benefit from this. But
That's the next level though, for sure. But then again, like if people are not part of your program, they're limited to these testimonial videos, right? Like this is the type of stuff we talk about 3 times a week.
yeah,
Like it's an overflow sometimes, but you need it to stay competitive and talk about okay, what does the next big thing look like? But we can keep talking, but like people need to pay for your services, man. Like this session alone is so much value. If I heard this, a year ago, dude, I'd be full of taking notes. Like this is probably like couple, 20 G's worth of value that we just dropped in this 30 minutes.
Literally. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate your time and attention. I think, this was super valuable for me and you. It's good to catch up. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much, Sammy. And then we'll connect again.
Sounds good, man. Thank you
All
again.
right.
Appreciate it.